We're here in Glasgow to cover COP26. We are COPTV.
Hi, I'm Finlay and you're watching COPTV.
Hi, we're COPTV and today is our first day broadcasting from the New York Times Climate Hub in Glasgow.
We are a group of 12 young filmmakers from across Scotland who are passionate about film and climate change. We are so excited that COP26 is happening in Glasgow, and for our international viewers, this is Scotland. We're COPTV and behind me is the beautiful city of Glasgow.
Pioneer industrial area of the modern world, men poured in through the 19th century from all over Scotland. Leaving crofts and holding boats, they came to stake claim to the promised wealth of coal and iron, until 3/4 of Scotland were concentrated between Forth and Clyde.
This is Scotland. This is the real Scotland. Our cities mix old and new. We've got shiny skyscrapers and imposing hills side by side. From the Scottish Parliament to the Kelpies to ancient castles, Scotland's got it all. You might think you're seeing the streets of New York and Glasgow, which are based off our grid system. Scotland's cities are famous for their lively nightlife and vibrant music scenes. We've got festivals all year round, like Transmit, the Edinburgh Fringe and Ophelia, which showcase the best of Scotland's music, entertainment and culture. In Scotland, we don't just speak English. Gaelic is a huge part of our culture, especially across the Highlands and Islands. We also have our own dialect of English, called Scots. You might have heard this in the famous poetry of Robert Burns and other Scottish writers. We also speak a language called Doric too. Scottish film and TV is one of the most recognisable things about us. We have lots of famous faces from here, and many films based here, like Trainspotting and Brave. Some of your favourite sports could also be from Scotland. Golf was created here in the 15th century, and we've got lots of famous rugby and football squads. Things you might use every day will have come from Scotland, like the TV, telephone, penicillin, and the raincoat. All of this together makes one Scotland, our home.
This is COPTV.
In a moment, we're going to be speaking to Lam Banks, the director of WWF Scotland. But first, what is COP? Many people don't actually know what it is. So let's find out.
You might be wondering, what even is a COP? No, not that kind of COP. COP stands for Conference of Parties. And no, not that kind of party either. COP26 is the 26th United Nations conference in which world leaders gather together to discuss climate solutions that could help them achieve net zero. This year's COP is being held in Glasgow in order to accelerate action towards the goals of the Paris Agreement. It's been split into two zones: the blue zone, where key negotiations between world leaders takes place, and the green zone, where members of the public can have their voices heard.
This globe in Scottish power shows the significance and changes that climate change has brought to our world.
Now I'm here with Lan Banks, passionate environmentalist and director of WWF Scotland. Hello Lan, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
So, what does WWF actively do in Scotland to combat climate change?
We've been running a number of programmes which aim at influencing the Scottish Parliament and the Scottish Government on their climate policies. So that means making sure, for example, that they're taking action to reduce emissions from transport, from housing, and also looking at how nature can help with helping restore trees, or with peatlands and helping restore them because they're natural at absorbing carbon dioxide. So that's what we work on in Scotland.
And how long have you been in contact with the Scottish Parliament and discussing these policies?
Well, the WWF in Scotland has been present long before the Scottish Parliament was present, so ever since day one we've been influencing the Scottish Parliament, and we have a long track record of influencing legislation. So, for example, the two sets of climate legislation that Scotland has had over the last 2 decades, WWF and others have helped influence those. So that's one of the reasons why Scotland has world-leading targets. What we need to see now, of course, is world-leading delivery.
Yes, and so what would you say are the main climate concerns within Scotland?
Well, I think we've been very good at reducing our emissions from the power sector. So, for example, you can't walk around Scotland without seeing hydrodams or wind turbines, and now we have wind turbines offshore as well. So we've done a good job of reducing our emissions from the power sector to such an extent that almost 100% of Scotland's electricity is now coming from renewable sources. We haven't been so good, though, unfortunately, at reducing emissions from transport or how we heat our homes, and we especially haven't seen emissions fall when it comes to agriculture and land use. So those 3 areas are areas we now need to focus on.
And how would you go about focusing on those areas and making them a more prominent talking point?
Well, the WWF goes around doing a number of things. So, for example, we build the evidence in order to show those who are in power, and First Minister of Scotland and members of the Scottish Parliament, what the problem is, and then we also bring forward solutions. So, for example, when it comes to what we need to do in heating our homes, we bring forward solutions to explain to them about how we need to decarbonise, how we heat our homes. For example, that's using green renewable electricity to heat our homes instead of using gas. And then we go and speak to parliamentarians and to the government and explain how to go about solving that. And sometimes we have to engage our supporters and the public in order to campaign, so we need to get them to engage their elected representatives in order to encourage them to follow the ideas and solutions that we're bringing forward.
Yeah. And do you think Scotland makes enough noise about its climate change problem? Is there anything we need to particularly be worried about?
I'd say on the world stage, Scotland's got a good story to tell. As I say, we've done really well when it comes to reducing emissions from our electricity sector, but we do need to really up our game when it comes to transport, heat, and our land and farming. So I think it does a good job at telling that story. But part of the reason, and what's a good opportunity here with COP in Glasgow, is how we can shine a light on what Scotland still needs to do. And so therefore, in the same time of talking up what Scotland's done in renewables, we can also introduce them to other people from around the world about what they're doing to tackle some of the issues that Scotland has yet to get to grips with.
Thank you. Just before we carry on, the whole reason we're here is because of COP, so our team went and found out what has already been agreed on.
At COP26 thus far, there have been a number of agreements and promises made by the countries attending to try and tackle climate change. At the end of day one, it was announced that nearly 100 countries had signed a deforestation pledge that aims to restore the world's forests by 2030.
Also, a total of 40 nations are backing the Glasgow breakthroughs, a commitment to give developing countries the innovation and tools needed to reach net zero. On top of this, on Tuesday, almost 100 countries have agreed to slash methane emissions by 30% by 2030.
Although the details of the steps required to fulfil these promises has yet to be publicised.
Also, today it's been released that at least 503 fossil fuel lobbyists have been granted access to COP26. This has initiated anger in the public, as many think this will increase climate scepticism.
Now, have you been enjoying COP so far?
That's a good question. It's been long days, there's no doubt about it, and that's partly because we've been running a lot of events inside the Blue Zone with the First Minister of Scotland and also ministers that are responsible for other departments. We've also had other world leaders come into the pavilion at WWF's inside the Blue Zone. We've also been engaging with the media, such as yourselves, and also speaking with the delegates from the UK government. So we've been very, very busy in week one. I like to say it would calm down in week two, but actually we're now getting to the crunchy point. It's now down to the negotiations, and it's really important that when we leave Glasgow, the world leaders and their ministers have agreed something which is going to keep our planet safe for people and for nature.
Yeah. So what do you expect to see in this upcoming week?
Well, I think in week one, compared to week one, we had a lot of announcements which were listed in your little video there, and that was a good start. But the key thing is, none of those things that were announced are actually to do with negotiations. They're helpful and could actually take us in the right direction, but they're not part of the agreement that's going to be discussed in week two. And that's because we need to make sure in week two that many of the things that were left over from the Paris Agreement 5 years ago actually get agreed. There was a lot of things left hanging which we need in order if we're going to make sure that the world is in a safer place in years from now, because there are agreements there, for example, on transparency, on how much money we're going to make sure that goes to those who are least able to help themselves. We need to make sure those things happen. So we've had pledges, now we need action.
And are WWF involved in making these pledges or kind of influencing how these pledges are made?
At different levels. So, for example, some of the announcements last week, so over the weekend there was an announcement from the major retailers of the UK about how they're going to halve the impact of the average shopping basket. That's something that WWF has been actively involved in. Some of those other negotiations or pledges we haven't been. But in week two, we'll definitely be engaging with the UK delegation, so they're quite clear about what we want to see at the end of week two. And those who are in my international delegation will be doing so with the same with their own countries.
Thank you. So just one final question. COP26 has been talked about as humanity's last chance to act. Do you think this is the case, and do you think politicians and world leaders will take prompt action?
Look, I think we know that the planet and our climate are at a tipping point. We're at a tipping point where if we do not make the decisions this week coming, we could be the difference between islands disappearing under the seas, with species disappearing at a continuing enormous rate, and an absolute threat to human life. So we have a work to do over the next little while. I've seen rabbits pulled out of the hat before at previous COPs. The negotiators really now to get down, take action. They cannot leave Glasgow without action.
Well, thank you for speaking with us. That was excellent. We will be hearing more from WWF throughout the week.
Great, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
This is the fight for your world. And we're bringing everything we've got to restore nature. We lead projects on the ground to protect precious wildlife and habitats. We identify new solutions to stop food production destroying our forests. We empower people to use their voice to demand change across the world. We transform business through partnerships to put sustainability first. We challenge governments to put nature at the heart of all decision-making. We investigate climate impacts to produce compelling evidence for urgent action. We inspire future generations through engaging educational programs. And we unite people under a common goal to create a thriving world for years to come. We are WWF, and this is the fight for your world.
So, what did you think of what Langbanks had to say?
I think it was very interesting to see a different perspective, because over the course of the first week we have seen a lot of world leaders coming in and out, but then he's really passionate about making sure that we get the best results from COP26, and I can't wait to see what he puts in that people will actually listen to and will be heard.
Definitely. And are you optimistic about all these kind of promises being made?
I was very optimistic at the start, but I think over the course of the week, seeing how world leaders are handling it, I'm becoming a bit more pessimistic, sadly.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree.
Yeah, it is a bit upsetting, but what can we do?
I know. I think it is very important that we kind of, as young people, use our voices and put pressure on
it's really
governments.
important for young people to be heard, and I think that's why we're all really passionate about being here, getting our voices and the people all over the world.
Yeah.
And as we'll see, we're partnering with people in Malawi and all over the place just to get their voices heard.
Definitely, but even kind of speaking with land banks there and just kind of on a local kind of what he does in Scotland, but that was good. No, I'm hopeful for the future, and I hope organisations like WWF will inspire change.
Yeah.
Coming up this week on COPTV, we'll be speaking to people from all over the world and from all of the different industries and businesses that we have going on here at COP26. Keep an eye out for us speaking to the President of Malawi, Chris Packham, and Post-Call Prom Queen. Also, be on the lookout for Cooking with Rachel. Rachel takes a sustainable take on everyday meals, and it's fantastic to see someone taking on the challenge to change our diet and the way that we eat.
Sorry for that technical difficulties. In May 2021, the Scottish Youth Film Foundation asked the young people of Scotland to submit films on the subject of change. Last night at the IMAX cinema in the Science Centre, as part of the official COP26 programme, the shortlisted films were shown and the winners were announced.
It's a pleasure and it's an honour to be part of this incredibly upbeat, stirring, gorgeous evening. Okay, so I'm an actor, lucky me. I take part in all sorts of things. It's all about storytelling, it's all about communication. But I'm also an ambassador for WWF.
I love to be involved in campaigns and raise awareness wherever possible usually for the plight of species. This WWF was formed to save species, including us. This generation is the one that's going to inherit the world in whatever shape it's in, and we know that's pretty bad and could be a lot worse. And we all have to act now, and we all are connected, and we all have a part to play on a daily basis. This should be the most exciting aspect of COP.
Yeah.
Thanks to the hard work of the young people who entered the Change Film Competition, our national collection of moving image grows richer. Fresh voices, new perspectives. These are as important to us now as the voices and legacies of the past.
How did you get involved with the Scottish Youth Film Festival?
Well, the Scottish Youth Film Festival originally was started up by Scott and David in West Lothian. I'm the member of the Scottish Parliament for the Lithgow constituency in Armadale, where the first festivals were held, is in my constituency. I was also the Culture Minister for a long time, and I know the power of film and young people and the importance of it, so I was very keen to support it in the early days. And now it's a foundation and it's growing, and it's got COPTV now, so to see that progress over the years has been great.
So the first of our two winners is Time for Change.
this wouldn't have been possible without you. Your animation really just brought the thing together so well, so just thank you so much for everything. Thank you as well to Les, again, for the encouragement. Thank you to, well, I mean, I've got about, I think, 10 people watching this, so I specifically know that I've got quite a lot of friends in Orkney who are seeing it. I know Angus, Leighton, I know you're watching. Thank you for watching along. Hello! Which camera are we using? And yeah, just thank you so much for this opportunity.
The winner is Change Direction by Greta McMillan.
A new year, a new beginning. What do I want? It's a race against time. We really need to change direction. I want to help to phase out fossil fuels. I want to help speed up the change to electric vehicles. I want to help stop deforestation. I want to help encourage renewables. I want to help mobilize finance. I want to help protect ecosystems. I want to help people work together. I want to help protect communities. We must change almost everything in our current societies. The bigger your carbon footprint, the bigger your moral duty. The bigger your platform, the bigger your responsibility. Adults keep saying, we owe it to the young people to give them hope.
I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful.
I want you to panic.
I want you to feel the fear I feel every day.
And I want you to act. I want you to act as if you were in a crisis.
I want you to act as if your house is on fire.
Because it is.
My film is called Change Direction and is about the climate crisis. On my walk to school, I realised that something has to change. I really enjoyed filming all the rushes on the way into school with Dad. I used my IK as communicators to talk about my film ideas with my mum and Dad.
Thank you so much.
Young people can lobby, they can organise, they are doing. They can say what they think, they can say what they need. They can march, they can practice what they preach on a daily basis, whether that's what you eat, what you wear, what you observe, what you see around you, how you get to work if you're going to work, how you get to school if you're going to school.
Do you believe that COP26 will bring about change in the world?
Well, I absolutely hope so. I think there is some movement in some areas. I think the impetus for it requires global leadership, and I think the global leaders have to do more. I was very struck by the comment from the Mayor of Los Angeles, who said, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, you should do it, because we're going to have to do more. We're going to have to stretch ourselves, do more things, do things we've never done before to get the momentum and change that's required to meet that target.
Do you think COP26 will make a difference?
It has to. It's not the absolute be-all and end-all, but we can't keep saying that forever either. Mm-hmm. This is the most important session that we've come to. It's devastating what has happened so far to the world, but I'm very optimistic about what will come of this.
Hello, I'm Jack Loudon, and you're watching COPTV, and you better be. Keep watching. Keep watching.
It was great to see so much optimism from filmmakers, guests and sponsors. Now it's up to all of us to turn that optimism into action. That includes governments, countries and individuals. So, what did you all think of the films?
Oh, I thought the winners and even the shortlist were great. Like, we got to judge and got to see a lot of the films on the big IMAX screen, and I think that was a great experience.
No, I really enjoyed the films. I thought they were very impressive.
You got a favourite?
I don't think I do have a favourite. I mean, I did really enjoy the animation, the winner of the animation. I thought that was very professionally done.
Oh yeah, especially for their age as well. Like, they could have been in the industry for a very long time.
Definitely. So, it's definitely something I couldn't do.
Oh no, that's not. But I think it was great to see people from all over Scotland, because there was people coming all the way from up north or even south, and they were all coming together in this one place where we could all appreciate film, because I think it was very apparent that we all have a passion for film and everyone else there too.
And it's brilliant to encourage it as well. A lot of people aren't encouraged to maybe follow that type of passion, because sometimes there's a lot of speculation of, oh, if that could get you a job in the real world or anything. But as we saw from that, the amazing talent that those children have, or everyone who's entered the competition, that can't be ignored. So it's brilliant that they have a space to be nurtured with their talents and everything like this.
Just a variety of ages as well. There were some really young filmmakers there, which was very impressive.
It is great to see them, and even them getting in the shortlist. I think it gives them also a boost of confidence, because as Scott and David said last night, that there wasn't actually any competitions for young people until recent years, and I think it is a great opportunity for people to get involved and explore their passion and take pride when they win and do far.
But how exciting is that, seeing your own film in an IMAX cinema? That's pretty special.
I think it must have also been very overwhelming. Our winners were very overwhelmed, so unfortunately we didn't get an interview with them afterwards, but rightly so, because they did such an amazing job and it was such an emotional experience, especially for us seeing it and having judged some of the films also. It was brilliant to see them up on that big screen where they belong, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
It was also great that because we judged them, we didn't get to see for the animations, the people behind it, and it was great to see them put a face to the name that you get as well.
But no, that was our first experience in the green zone as well.
It was also another great opportunity to actually be able to be in the green zone and have that time, and it was really great.
It's a fantastic space, and you can really feel the energy when you walk in, the change and the passion that those people who entered the competition, as it was called, Change, have for climate justice and everything like that. And that's why it was probably another factor of why it was such an emotional experience. Everyone in the room wants to see change. They want to see COP26 succeed, and to be in the space where things have been happening and negotiations have been talked about and everything like that. It was just such an incredible experience for us.
Yeah, no, it was very busy as well, considering how late it was. Very busy, so can't imagine what that would be like during the day, but we'll get to see that later on.
Yes. Well, last week COP26 officially kicked off with thousands of people travelling from all across the world and all across different regions. This caused us to think a lot about our carbon footprint and the emissions that we give off whilst we are travelling. This also allowed people to make a stand and show how carbon emissions are one of the biggest factors for pollution. So they chose to either walk or cycle all the way to Glasgow for COP26. One of the people who chose to cycle all the way was Elsie Burrows, who we got a chance to interview.
Hello everyone, my name is Joseph Ollanloken and I'm from COPTV. We're here live at the Ferry and I'm here with Elsie Burrows.
Okay, I'm Elsie, I'm 13 years old and I'm from North Devon. Me and two other members of my team, we cycled from a place just outside London called Runnymede, and we cycled 600 miles here.
What kind of things are schools doing and what can young people do in general to help tackle climate change?
Well, I think so. We've been all the schools, all the kids have been really. They've all been into what we're doing. And all of them care. There wasn't one of them that didn't know what it was. Everybody knows what it is. Everyone is passionate about it. And lots of them have been, they've just been making small changes to how they go about their lives. But even the small changes help a lot. Instead of driven to school, they've started cycling or walking, and I think that's a big thing. Lots of them, so they've all written us climate action pledges, which we've carried along. Lots of them have kind of been, they'll have shorter showers, which is saving water, or they'll only meet twice a week, which is, just really good and helping a lot. So, it's only just really small things that you can just change in your lives that don't have too big an effect, but have a really big effect on the planet.
Glasgow and beyond, COP26.
Do you think that COP26 will be effective?
Well, I hope it is. I hope, because I think this is the last chance we have. Well, because the next one, if there is a next one, COP27, wherever it is, I think it might be too late by then. I reckon it will be just, way too late. I think now is the chance, now or never, because, if the world leaders don't listen to us, who have been the people who have been campaigning and just kind of generally trying to get their voice heard, I think if they don't listen, then it won't help.
It's great seeing young people getting involved in COP26. During our first week at COP, some of us took to the streets of Glasgow, and here's how it went.
Hi, so today we're in Glasgow and it's the third day of COP, and this is a bit unexpected. Just a street away from our base, we've came across an event that's happening. People are very mad about the effects of what's happening with COP. Are you walking with the people?
I mean, the transport day, all they were talking about was electric cars. So that, we need public transport. We're all a little bit annoyed about the fact that COP has been captured by the fossil fuel companies. ExxonMobil is in cahoots with the British government about COP, so COP is a cop-out, it really is. Money isn't the problem, they could find the money, but they're just not interested. They want to continue on with exploitative capitalism, neo-colonialism, and they think we're not going to notice.
I feel sorry for you guys because we've had our time, and the people who are making your enemies are all in a room right now making decisions that can affect you in such a lukewarm way. if they had to make the decisions about the climate change in the way that they made your enemies, they would make them with a lot more energy.
I'm terrified of the future. If left to our government, they're getting away with murder.
And I think our politicians are not taking serious this crisis. And I came here for putting pressure on the elite to do something about it, because it looks like they're not doing anything.
This is a protest against greenwash, against a lot of companies who basically pretend they're doing environmentally conscious things, but actually they're making no difference at all. What a lot of these companies are asking you to do is focus on the little things that they're doing to try and make things carbon neutral, and actually in the background there's all this other stuff going on where they're funding fossil fuels, or if they're companies like Shell, for example, they're spending huge amounts on oil exploration. But if you look at their TV commercials, all they talk about is the stuff they're doing that is green. You know, you see wind turbines on their adverts. I'm sure you're aware of all this stuff. But essentially what we're saying is most companies who say they're doing things to be green, it's just window dressing, it's greenwash, and that's what this march is about.
So that was brilliant. So I'm really glad that we got a couple of our team members to be able to go down and actually cover the protest that was going on. The atmosphere looked amazing. How was it for you when you were actually down there?
Well, I think the experience was very unexpected.
Yeah, we had no idea that was going to happen. At the start of the day, we were just editing in the bays, and then one of our tutors, Francis, told us something was happening down the street. And then we just picked up our camera equipment, ran outside, and then we didn't get back to the base until 5 hours later. So
yeah,
it's really unexpected.
5 hours is a very long time. Did the atmosphere change at all?
Surprisingly, like no one there really was upset at any point. Like you could say some moments people were a bit down, but like everyone made sure the music was still going, people were still dancing, like the spirits were high and no one was left upset.
Oh yeah, the drumming was the best part of the whole thing.
He was loving it. Every 2 seconds I'd look to my side and then he'd be gone.
Dancing. Honestly.
So you wouldn't say that the presence of the police affected the march at all, or did it affect it for a brief period of time?
Yeah, I think at first it was a bit nerve-wracking because we had no idea we were going into it, that was going to happen, so we were obviously a bit scared.
I mean, when it started, we saw a few police, but that's what, throughout Glasgow, everywhere you go, you see police because of COP, it was the normal amount of police you see every day. Then all of a sudden we see a row of police, and then they just keep coming, and then it's what have we put ourselves into? What have we got ourselves into? And it just went from there. And yeah.
Well, throughout the day, you will be talking to quite a number of people with lots of different opinions, quite a few with the same opinions as well. Do you feel like your opinions have changed? Will you hold yourself differently during interviews, or?
I don't know for Joseph, I'd say definitely for me they've changed a bit, because I feel like being in that confined area with lots of different people, different backgrounds, different areas coming together about this one issue, which was greenwashing, it really changed your perspective, because you got to hear all these different stories and how people all age groups are fighting about this cause, because when we found them they were rallying about a big company, JP Morgan, which we found out has been investing in the last 5 years 350 billion into fossil fuels, and that was quite jarring, I think, for both of us.
It made me realise that I'm not as passionate about the earth as it could be, and for me that was a pivotal moment for me this week, because the people there had this kind of like almost supernatural energy behind what they were saying. Like they knew, like they believed that their action could cause change. Sometimes when I tell people about climate change, I don't believe it all the way. Like I'm holding back a bit, but being in that environment made me realize that all it takes to change people's minds is changing your mind. I don't know if that makes sense, but you have to make the decision to, like, you have to change people's minds. You have to believe in what you're saying, and if you believe in what you're saying, then it'll be easier for you to like influence other people and point them in the right direction.
I think that's a brilliant message that you've just said, Joseph, and I totally agree with it. And because there was such an overwhelming amount of people at the march, it must have been quite a stressful situation. You only went down there to record and get some interviews with people for a protest, but it turned out to be a kettling incident. So how did you feel with that overwhelming police presence, as we've discussed already, being confined in such a small space for such a long amount of time?
Well, I really needed to pee the whole time. I was tempted to go beside one of the, like, in between one of the, like, you know, the crooks in the building? Yeah, I really wanted to pee there, but yeah, I heard a few people, like, fully grown adults peed on themselves. So I was like, I'm not doing that. That's not on my bucket list today. And yeah, we were also really hungry. Rachel was cold.
I was cold.
Yeah, she had to take off her hoodie at a point so that we could speak to more people.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me it wasn't too bad. I just really needed to pee. But I think if not for the atmosphere, I would have struggled a lot.
Yeah.
Like it would have been harder. But because everyone was so positive, it kind of gave me energy to get through at least 4 of those hours.
Yeah.
I was only tired towards the end, and that was good.
I felt like the people there with the music obviously kept everyone's spirits high, and people would like come up to you and just make sure you were okay. So we had multiple people come up to us.
Oh yeah, there was this really nice granny that went around giving sweets, and there was also this, there was this couple that was giving out cookies or something, and they were environmentally friendly cookies, you know, but they tasted really good. Yeah, they were vegan cookies. Yeah, I forgot the word.
You'll know all about that with your baking and cooking program, which you'll see hopefully throughout the week if you keep your eyes out for it. Because of the kettling incident as well, we had to come and rescue you.
Oh gosh.
How was that experience when we came down finally after 5 hours of being stuck in the same place?
Well, I think what it was is throughout the 5 hours we had to call Scott and Emily to let them know we're okay, and I think it was safe to say that they were more stressed out than we were. I think that was definitely because I think the music kept us like in good spirits, whereas we had them like going, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And it was really great when when they came and got us. I think because the mood was going down and we're kind of like, oh my god, this has been hours. And when they actually got us out, like I hugged Emily and I was so happy. And then I go into the news at 10 o'clock and just see me in the background dancing like a loony. So that's great.
Right, so thank you very much. And as we've already discussed, it was an amazing experience, and it was brilliant that we had people from our team out there filming it, even if it did get a bit wild at times. But I'm sure you enjoyed your fish and chips afterwards.
Oh yeah, that was
That
was the best fish and chips I've ever had.
Well, just a reminder of what's coming up on COPTV over the next week or so. So coming up, we will be interviewing people from, as we've already said, all areas, all across the world, from all of the different sectors of businesses and everything like that. People such as Chris Packham, Post-Call Prom Queen, David Balhari, Lord Putnam, and lots of many other different people as well. We will also be covering topics such as fast fashion, sustainability, climate change in general, Glasgow's industrial past, protests as we've already discussed, and different strikes and everything that have been happening during COP. And we will also cover climate anxiety as well, because it's a lesser talked about subject. Keep your eyes peeled, as we've been saying throughout the programme, for Cooking with Rachel, a take on sustainably ready meals throughout the week as well. So keep your eyes peeled.
So that was our first broadcast, but don't worry, we'll be broadcasting every night this week from 5 p.m. from the Green Zone, Blue Zone and all over Glasgow. We've been COPTV, thank you for tuning in and we'll see you tomorrow.